list of every lie.
So why did they lie to us about it for so long?
Deny reality on a daily basis.
You regret it all the lying you've done.
He misleads the public constantly.
You are fake news.
Is not honest, says things that are clear, demonstrable falsehood.
Spread disinformation.
Of the lies.
He misleads.
Lie.
Lied.
Misinformation.
Historia Augusta, one of the most cited sources in the Roman historical books. Salve plebs, I wanna tell you a story about Scriptors Historiae Augustae, commonly known as Historia Augusta, a history book from No, don't leave, it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be interesting, I promise. Historia Augusta is a collection of biographies of the Roman emperors from 136 to 284, but unlike other Roman biographies like from Tacitus or Suetonius, this one is kind of unusual. Unfortunately for the wrong reasons. The beginning of the book is pretty decent, historical, factual. Some made up speeches now and then, but again decent. But as the book goes on, the amount of bullshit in the book increases rapidly, and what starts as an ambitious work to follow up on the great Roman historians like Suetonius ends up as a dumpster fire heading down a cliff. Not only the book totally abandons any fact-checking, but it also starts making stuff up with no self-observation. Some facts about emperors in the second part of the book consist as low as 5% of reliable historical details, sometimes even 0. Historia Augusta contains in all about 150 documents, 68 letters, 60 speeches and 20 senatorial decrees, and all of them are considered to be fraudulent. The author of Historia Augusta also tends to be very subjective. He ranks emperors by a simple metric. If they were elected by the Roman Senate, they were good. If they were elected by an army, they were bad. This ranking brings us some weird examples like Severus Alexander, who is presented as a strong and ideal ruler, even though he was controlled his whole reign by his mom, or Gallienus, allegedly lazy and incompetent emperor, that actually governed the empire for over 16 years in the biggest turmoil the empire had ever lived through. But before we begin to trash further the hell out of this atrocity of a book, let's answer the two most important questions. Who wrote Historia Augusta and when was it written? The series of biographies were written by these 6 authors. And when I say 6 authors, I mean 1. Already in the 19th century, it was rejected that the book was written by 6 authors, and modern tools confirm that. There is an entire study that found out that writing styles of all 6 personas are almost identical. To name a few examples, all 6 authors love to make name puns out of some emperors. Elagabalus is called often Gabbalus, which is Latin for gallows. Pertinax is called Tenacious, Perticunator, by other author. Macrinus has a nickname Masselinus, which means butcher. Probus is called Probus, which means diligent, and so on. All 6 authors also happen to use only the word occido with respect to killing, but only once do any of them use the alternative word interficio. All authors also sometimes refer to a certain famous historian called Aelius Cordus as their main source, which is odd because no other ancient scripture knows anyone of this name. So all in all, these facts confirm that there are no 6 authors, but only 1. So let's just call the author Decimus, because he likes the name pun so much. Decimus' alter egos claim they wrote a book during reign of Diocletian and Constantine the Great. But because they address them with such familiarity and sincerity no person with basic self-preservance would ever do to any Roman emperor, it is 100% sure the author lived much later. So we know it was written after death of Constantine in 337. Another sign of anachronism is that Decimus calls Thracia in plural, which apparently had not been a case until 392. Another hint of the real date is given us when he complains how Rome is being ruled by children, which is more of a case of the 5th century emperors. Emperors Arcadius Honorius, Theodosius II, and Valentinian III ascended the throne at a very young age. There are also some jabs at Christianity, which indicate that Decimus was a late anti-Christian Roman. The gap in the book between 244 and 260 might not be unintentional, because the book conveniently skips Philippus Arabs, allegedly the first Christian Roman emperor, and Valerian with Decius, the first emperors that widely persecuted Christians. It was unthinkable that Decimus wouldn't take a stance on those emperors if he wrote about them, and probably also did not have guts to criticize Christianity, so he decided to skip that period of time entirely. All in all, we know that Decimus was an individual in the 5th century, probably of senatorial rank, and a pagan, angry at a new Christian regime but not brave enough to speak openly against it.
The deified Aurelian was born of a humble family, at Sirmium according to most writers, but in Dacia according to some. I remember moreover having read one author who declared that he was born in Moesia. Aurelian, born of humble parents and from his earliest years very quick of mind and famous for his strength, never let a day go by on which he did not practice with the spear, the bow and arrow, and other exercises in arms.
So the author doesn't even know where Aurelian was born, but he knows he practiced daily with a spear and bow.
And, in fact, since there were in the army 2 tribunes, both named Aurelian, this man and another, who later was captured with Valerian, the soldiers gave him the nickname of Sword in Hand, so that, if anyone chanced to ask which Aurelian had done anything or performed any exploit, the reply would be made Aurelian Sword in Hand, and so he would be identified.
That's a weird BS story.
When Aurelian adminds as tribune of the 6th Legion the Gallican, he completely crushed the Franks.
No Legio 6 Gallicana is known.
He alone among all commanders inflicted the following punishment on a soldier who had committed adultery with the wife of the man at whose house he was lodged. Bending down the tops of 2 trees, he fastened them to the soldier's feet and then let them fly upward so suddenly that the man hung there torn in 2.
The exact same punishment was used by Alexander the Great.
I have recently found among the books in the Ulpian library a letter, written by Valerian concerning Aurelian.
Remember that whenever Decimus claims he found a letter in the Ulpian library, it is always fraudulent.
From Valerian Augustus to the consul Antoninus Gallus.
No consul of this name is known. Decimus then cites 6 letters of Valerian about or to Aurelian, in which he praises his qualities and eventually adopts him, which is very unlikely because the two probably never met.
Aurelian became so illustrious during the time of Claudius that, after this emperor's death, he alone received the imperial power. There is still in existence a letter I have thought I should insert, from Flavius Claudius to his dear Valerius Aurelian.
Another fake letter, this time with fake name as well. Claudius II never born name Flavius, Aurelian never born name Valerian. As you can see for yourself, when Decimus runs out of sources, he starts to cite letters, documents, decrees, which are always fraudulent. Aurelian's biography also ends up with a false claim that after his death there was a 6 months of interregnum. Even though it's recorded, it was hardly a month. Chapters 37 to 50 of Aurelian's biography are called various anecdotes, which caused me personally feeling cringe, which is pretty a rare feeling when you read an ancient literature. At the end of his work, Decimus just goes and makes stuff up. His biggest lie is a totally fabricated Emperor Censorinus, who allegedly had
been twice consul, twice prefect of the guard, 3 times prefect of the city, 4 times proconsul, 3 times legate of consular rank, twice of praetorian, 4 times of aedilician, 3 times of quaestorian, and having held the post of envoy extraordinary to the Persians and also to the Sarmatians.
Another quick examples.
Caracalla posthumously deified his brother Geta.
That's a complete fucking opposite of what he did.
32 usurpers stood up against Emperor Gallienus.
9 of them never did, 7 of them are made up, and 6 of them were usurpers in a different time period.
Palmyrian Queen Zenobia held power throughout reign of her 2 sons Herennius and Timoleus.
There were no such sons of Zenobia.
Maximinus Thrax consumed daily 25 liters of wine and 13 kilograms of meat and never drank water. Gallienus raised Byzantium in 263.
Valerian
was married to a true emperor. Liked his food to be served alphabetically.
Okay, that's enough ranting for now. Why am I even talking about it? There are many Roman historical books, right? So why even bother talking about this one? Well, this is the reason. There are not that many Roman historical books. Historia Augusta is the only piece of Roman historiography that thoroughly covers periods from Hadrian to Marcus Aurelius and the crisis of the 3rd century. So while all other works are inevitably lost, this one, through some improbable, twisted turn of events, got preserved. So not high quality works of Ammianus, Marius Maximus, Tacitus, Augustus, Claudius, Pliny, Cicero, but this garbage prevails? The final question remains, why? Why would someone waste so much time on something with a zero factual and literal value? Historia Augusta was an ambitious project, but ended up as a lazy attempt to write some sort of a combination of a history book and a pagan Bible. The author wrote a book maybe in order to very subtly remind everyone how glorious the Rome was when it was ruled by the good old pagan emperors. But since he put all effort into covering his own tracks, the true intention of numerous imperfections in Historia Augusta will always remain a mystery.